morning, everybody, and welcome to episode 55 of Couch Interviews Live. Got a brilliant guest coming up, Gill Mathias. But before we do, this is a show where business leaders, business owners, entrepreneurs, just like you, come on my virtual couch, and we have a discussion about what you do, why you do, speak to your connections, and hopefully, generate some interest. So if you want to come on my couch, please message me or PM me. And for full details, go to howardval.com, and I would love you to come on my couch, on Couch Interviews Live. So there we go. And I'm also using StreamYard to broadcast this. And if you want to try it for free, just go to howardval.com/StreamYard. So that's all the stuff for today on that bit. Yes, I'm going to bring her on now. She's waiting patiently. And it's my privilege to introduce Gill Mathias. Good morning, Gill. How are you?
Howard, I'm very well. And how are you?
I'm all right. You're the resilience coach. So if you're watching live, welcome. And because it's interactive, so we'd like you to join in. And so just introduce yourself. And if you've got any questions to Gill, just say, because we like to know where you're watching from. Just say hi, and makes it all worthwhile. So just gonna put your details on the screen. There we go. And before we start, I'm going to give you your own little introduction. You ready for this?
I am.
Right. So Gill Mathias will appear after this important message. Do you know what? I'm going to do that again. There we go. I'm trying to produce this, Gill, at the same time. Right. So
Excellent.
Yeah. So very briefly, just give us a quick bio of yourself, Gill.
Oh, but it's many years. I started life off as a professional tennis coach, and then when I got married very young, we went to go and live out in South Africa for 4 years. I did a lot of voluntary work in some of the homelands, the Soweto and Alexandria. Came back, had a couple of children, and then was fortunate enough, although it was really difficult, we went to go and live in Lagos in Nigeria. And I think that was a really, really challenging time for the mother. The father went away into work. Those are the days where probably most men did work rather than the women. And when we came back, I became a holistic therapist because of a challenge that my daughter had experienced with pneumonia. And there wasn't much conventional help out there, but there was lots of complementary help. And our lady who helped us in the house, she went to go and pick some lavender leaves and tea tree and lemon and infuse that into warm water for my daughter to breathe. And it was amazing how it cleared the lungs. And it became a sort of latent desire for me to do holistic therapy. And I ran a business for about 12 years called Aromatherapy Gold. Bit twee, but the gold was named after myself, Gill, and our 3 children, Oliver, Louise and Dominic, the first initial of each. But it's taken me through a lot of interviews and media broadcasts. And then when I was in my late 50s, I became very, very interested in retraining as a psychotherapist. And I think I've always been a trainee for a psychotherapist because I love hearing people's stories. I love what they've got to say. And I think I'm fairly good at listening and not being judgmental. So that's really where we got to where we are now.
Good. Okay, let me just swap you over. So you're a resilience coach. I think the obvious question is, what is a resilience coach, Gill?
Well, I suppose that it came as a result of, I'm a psychotherapist and I'm an NLP master practitioner, but with a specialism for resilience. And I really help people to transform their lives so that they can gain control again. Very often people get stuck in a balloon and they just can't get themselves out of that mire of negative thinking or seeing how well they can achieve in life. And what I do now, having done all my training and had loads of experience working with banks and working with many other prestigious companies, is I, obviously online, I run immersive online training, which is a resilience program, which is broken down into areas where we do stress and fear and self-sabotage and self-esteem. And all of those then help the employees to be able to gain control of their lives, and particularly in the difficult times we've been going through during this pandemic. And that's basically where I am at the moment. So I run these immersive online training programs. I then, with each participant, and there are a lot of them, I have Zoom calls, one-to-one Zoom calls, and I also provide a wraparound service for the same cost. It's very, very rewarding, and there's nothing more complimentary than hearing somebody say, "Oh my goodness, I had no control of my life, and you really, really helped me gain control." It's wonderful.
Brilliant. So when companies contact you, what just take us through the process. What happens?
Okay, so I think that one of the problems, well, three problems really. One of the problems being furloughed and how to go and keep their employee motivated, because although I think you can do voluntary work, you can't take on another paid job. So I dealt a lot with furlough back in the last summer. As a result, a couple of the companies I was dealing with did reconstructions or restructures, and there were therefore a number of redundancies. So I did a lot of courses on managing change. But basically, I think it's been quite challenging for people working from home. There are some advantages. You haven't got the transport costs, you haven't got the petrol costs or the diesel costs, but it is challenging if you're working in one room and you're always going past a computer, even at the weekends. And of course, the more recent one has been working at home with young children. And that's been very testing. Trying to have meetings, having a 5-year-old coming in and saying, "Mummy or Daddy, where's my lunch? Daddy or Mummy, when are you going to play with me?" And I think they've been challenging times, and many of my clients will have been very delighted to hear the announcement that schools were going back on March the 8th. More recently, and it's a wonderful course that's been set up, I've started a mental health and well-being champions course. Now, this again is really within companies, but sometimes people don't want to go with problems back to HR. Nothing wrong with HR, but sometimes they want to go to other people or other colleagues within their companies and just have a listening ear or a go-to person. And this training that I'm doing is it's actually over a period of 3 months. It is ratified by the CPD, which is a very large organization recognized in 27 countries throughout the world. And it will give people the tools to be able to understand about active listening, understand more about stress, to understand about communication and rapport, in which to be able to be the first listening ear to people who are going through challenges. And it's proving very popular. And I love being able to help people. I mean, it's at my stage in life. My stage in life, and having had my first vaccine, and I understand you're having yours tomorrow, which is wonderful, Howard.
Yes. We've got Kirsty Grimes. Hi, Kirsty. Thanks for joining us. She says, "Hi, the Champions course sounds brilliant."
Oh, it is, and I think I think it's helpful for those employees that will become champions because it will be a lifetime gift for them. But also, so many people, they just want to talk. Talking's so important. It releases stress. It strengthens relationships. It allows another perspective on an issue. And sometimes it needs to be people who are unemotionally involved. and it just allows to be given some kind of support. And I think that's so important. And I feel privileged to have been ratified by the CPD to be able to present this course. And it's something that actually, at the end of the day, people can put on their CVs.
Yeah. How long does the course last for?
Well, it's over a period of 3 months. So unlike some of these other courses, which may be a couple of days, and the purpose is that the first month you're learning much more about rapport, you're learning about active listening, you're learning what stress, depression, what types there are. Like, for example, is the person you're talking to a stress dumper? Are they going to put all their problems onto you? Are they a transmitter, stress transmitter? Are they going to, within other people, just say, oh, have you heard that this is a problem? Which again causes stress for everybody else. And there are various other types of stress as well, which where people can be a bit silent about stress. And sometimes they are more of a problem because they haven't shared their anxiety or their challenges. So the first month is very much spent dealing with that, along with a one-to-one. And then the second month, we do case studies. So although I will never know the names of the people they are dealing with, we will discuss their cases that the HR have recommended that they talk to the employee. And then we will discuss the cases and just say what other questions they could have used, what other tactics they could have used. Were they really actively listening to what somebody was saying? Because questions can be so powerful. When somebody says, I really want to go and do this, that, and the other, I will often say to people, after a bit of a gap, because people need time to think, I might go and say, well, what's stopping you from doing this? And then there's a further gap and people say, well, nothing really, unless they're self-sabotaging, in which case they will go and say, oh, yes, but I can't do it because of this, that, and the other. And when you make a further suggestion, they'll say, oh, no, but I haven't got the time. If you really want to do something, you've always got the time. And I suppose that's why I was so fortunate at the age of nearly 60, thinking, am I going to retire? What am I going to do? And to discover that age is not a barrier to learning. And to be able to learn with the experience of life is just, I feel it's been a gift to me, particularly during this pandemic, and it will carry on because sadly, mental health is going to not suddenly disappear when we all come out of lockdown. It is going to continue to be a problem.
Okay. So let's do that again. No, hang on. I love all this.
Hello.
Right. You mentioned we're going to go deeper into how you work with companies, notwithstanding COVID. So we will make it COVID free from here on in, if that's all right with you. Is that okay with you?
That's fine.
Because
yes.
These things are going to have been happening before COVID and after COVID. But one thing my ears picked up on, which I can probably relate, and most people can relate to, self-sabotage. Just take us through. Is that quite common with people, self-sabotage, and what sort of form does it take?
And I think the two, without going into again too deeply, I think a lot of people struggle a lot with procrastination, not getting on with things and making excuses for things, not wanting to come out of their comfort zone, not wanting to try something because they might fail, and also very much to do with people's self-esteem. And you get quite comfortable with something and maybe you feel deep down, or maybe someone is close to you is saying, well, actually, you could try and get a promotion. Perhaps you need to go from a supervisory type role to a management role. And I think that sometimes people don't want to get out of their comfort zone to get to the next stage, bearing in mind that everybody needs failures in their lives. You need failures to be able to succeed to the next stage.
Right. Okay. So what can people do to avoid falling into that trap then?
I think actually it takes a bit of courage, really. I think it really is just saying to yourself, actually, I can do this rather than I can't. It's like the affirmations when you're talking to yourself, you always talk in a positive, specific way, rather than just saying, I can't do this. It's what you can do rather than what you can't do. What can you try to do? What can you achieve? And I've actually had a lot of success with that in the last year, really, because I had to completely change the way that I did my work. I mean, I did all face-to-face work. And believe me, Howard, you know how technophobic I am. On March the 22nd, the whole of my diary last year was cancelled. And I had to learn how to go and do Zoom calls. I had to go and learn how to do PowerPoint presentations, although I do always have a host to help me in case we have a problem. And I think it's been, for me, my self-sabotage was, oh, I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm getting out of my comfort zone. And it's very, very satisfying when you actually achieve something and you're still able to go and help individuals or help groups. And I've discovered things like breakout rooms. And they're brilliant because many people are at home, working from home, and will continue to work from home. And sometimes they want to have another voice to be able to talk to. And I found that's brilliant.
Excellent. So you also work with individuals as well, don't you?
I do. I very much work with individuals.
Yeah. Take us through.
I will. Now, so with individuals, again, I probably wouldn't do I wouldn't do a PowerPoint presentation with them, but I would have 2 monthly sessions. And very often I've got various courses on my website. One of them is the Inspired Action course. Now, this is a 6-month course, but if you don't want to be that dedicated, there's also a course on clarity, confidence, and communication. And again, it's getting people out of their comfort zone to be able to move forward. You know, many people have had difficult upbringings, but actually it's very much at the end of the day, it's not what happened to you, it's what you choose to become. And we can all change our mindset to be able to achieve. But you have to want to do it yourself. When I get people ringing me up, I might get a husband or partner ringing me up, and I'll always say, I would love to go and help, but please could you get the person who would like to have the support to go and ring themselves so that they are able to go and say, I want to have the support.
Yeah. Do you have any success stories from these courses?
Well, yes, I think I've got loads. One that sticks out with me because I am very sporty myself. I had a really interesting guy who was very, very good at sport, but he got to a certain stage and then he began to completely lose any kind of self-worth, self-identity, self-esteem. And when I spoke to him, it was all to do with the fact that his parents had been always giving very negative vibes to him, always saying, oh, well, why haven't you done this? And, oh, my goodness me, you didn't go and get the gold for that. And we worked a lot. And just as a basic introduction to helping him, we worked a lot on affirmations and how the word not mustn't come into an affirmation. You could go and say that they're always positive statements. They're very specific statements and they're short statements. So instead of saying something like, I'm not able to express myself, you would change that round to being something like, I am confidently able to share my opinions. And it did a fantastic amount for him. He worked on this in the morning. So when he got up before he went to his training, he would actually come up with a number of affirmations. He would actually do it in the middle of the day. And again, he'd say it at night. And he stuck it on his little chest of drawers so that he would remember the affirmations. And when you said affirmations enough times, subconsciously, it does go into your brain and it works. Obviously, there were many other actions that we took, but that was really, really helpful. And ultimately, obviously, I'm not going to mention any names, he went on to do extremely well within the sports arena.
Excellent. Do you have another success story from working with companies you can share with us?
Yes, I think yes, I do. There's one, and again, I'm not mentioning the companies, and I'm not mentioning the particular participant. Somebody who was very abused as a child, and again has grown up with a lot of limiting beliefs about herself, and felt that she was never good enough to go and do things. And again, we've worked on many, many strategies with her. With her, it was helpful for her to go and be able to write a journal of what had happened with the negative experience, but ending with a positive comment at the end, just saying, and I know I can take control of my life. And then she almost had a sort of burning process where she actually burnt this in the garden. And again, she felt as though the problems were behind her. And whether it's that or whether it was other things, she's proving to do extremely well in her business, and she can move on. And that saying it's not what happened to me, it's what I choose to become, I think has been extremely relevant to her.
Oh, lovely. I like that. Also, I know you're keen on practical things. There is an exercise that people can do at home, isn't there?
Yes.
Yeah. So
there is.
Just tell us what the exercise is called, and then just sort of go through it.
Yeah, it's called finger breathing. And besides this, I'd have to go and say there are so many ways that you can go and help yourself with stress and anxiety. You could, some people feel very sad, they feel irritable, they feel they don't like themselves. And there are so many things that you can empower yourself to move forward. There's things like headspace, meditation, writing a journal. But I'm a great believer in breathing. And one of the very, very simple breathing exercises I do is called finger breathing. And all you do is you put your hand up like that. Can you see that? You can see my hand there. And with the index finger of the other hand, all you're going to do is to trace up your fingers. And as you go up, you're going to breathe in. And when you get to the top of the finger, you're going to pause, and then you're going to breathe out. So let's have a go. So we're going to move up as I breathe in. We're going to pause and breathe out. And again, we're going to go up to the next finger, breathe in, pause, breathe out. I can hear you breathing. Breathe in, pause, and breathe out. Breathe in, pause, breathe out. And finally, breathe in, pause, and breathe out. And you can do that as many times as you like. And it's great for kids. If kids are about anxious about going back on March the 8th, that will be a good exercise. But again, we'll do it one more time, just so people understand. Okay, so we've got your hand up there. Any hand, doesn't matter which hand. You've got the index finger of the other hand. And we're going to go and breathe in as we go up and pause. And breathe out. Breathe in. Pause. Breathe out. Breathe in. Pause. Breathe out. Breathe in. Pause. Breathe out. Breathe in. Pause and breathe out. And then just shake your hands out. And you can do it as many times as you like. You can do it as often as you like. And I think it's very helpful for absolutely everybody. Because we are living in stressful times. Everybody has their own challenges. And if you can breathe deeply, it really, really can help any panic or any panic attacks.
Yeah, Kirsty, it's such a simple technique. Yeah, you're right, Kirsty. It is. Brilliant.
It is. Everybody can do it. And I've used it on children before now as well, and they love it as well because it's so easy and simple to do.
Excellent. I love it.
Good. Do you feel more relaxed?
Yeah. Yeah, I do actually. If
Good.
you're just joining us, I'm talking to Gill Mathias, and we missed. Well, you can catch up on the replay. So for people just joining us, just reintroduce yourself by saying your name and what you do.
Yeah. Hello, everybody, again. I'm Gill Mathias, and I'm a psychotherapist and an NLP master practitioner. And I help people to transform their lives by raising resilience into results. And this helps clients or groups of clients to gain control of their lives. And I run immersive online training programs. I run Zoom sessions with individuals or phone calls, depending on the preference. And I work with both companies and with individuals. And there are plenty of information on my website showing the courses that I run. Or just feel free to contact me and have a free chemistry call.
Okay. So you're a resilience coach, specialist, and you work with companies and individuals. So
Yes.
when a company contacts you, just take us through the experience of working with you. So they
Okay.
contact you. Just take us through the process, Jill.
Okay. So I'm usually contacted by HR. Because they are the ones that have got the challenges with the employees. And we talk about what is needed within their organization, what it is that they really need to have responsibility for their team. And most companies have very good diversity programs. They have very good safety and health programs. For example, for example, everybody goes and has fire and safety people within their organization. Everybody has first aiders within their organizations. And now many more people are having people who can help with the first stage of people having challenges in their lives, which can be absolutely anything. And as I said, I teach them about rapport, I teach them about communication, I teach them about what stress is, the types of stress, where stress comes from. And they learn to go and be able to ask the right questions without giving any solutions, because it's always important for the person to be able to find the solution themselves, and it's always within their own mind if you
Yeah.
ask the right questions.
Okay. So what sort of issues are company? Setting COVID aside, I know it's been dominating, but just go through some of the issues that some companies are facing, which may trigger people watching
Yeah,
that they may have similar issues with their work staff
yeah.
as well.
Yeah, obviously having young children at home where they're trying to work, that's a challenge. Relationships have become a real problem with people working, perhaps two people working at home, maybe along with children. I've come across people who are really struggling with isolation and who are not able to share their lives at this particular time. And I think there are just so many other things that crop up. And actually, it's very often not to do with their work problems. It's to do with their domestic life. They may have challenging relationships in other areas. They may have decided they're going to separate. It could be divorce. And I do a course on divorce as well. So when you reach my end of the scale of age, you've got so much, you're so fortunate to have so much experience of life, having worked with people overseas, having worked with people from diverse situations. And also, I'm very keen on the well-being side of life because I'm a holistic therapist. So nearly always exercise will come into the program. Or if people aren't sleeping well, I'll suggest things like lavender, because lavender is so good. And is a relaxant. I'll suggest that people perhaps have burners going on while they're working from home. Many, many, many other tips. And probably one of the most important things that I talk about is the golden hour. And the golden hour, or the golden half hour, is trying to be kind to yourself to go find time to be able to exercise, to be able to read a book, read something like Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, which is a very easy book and gives you guidance on how you can get over some stress challenges. Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, which is a very good, originally written about 25 years ago, but the same things still apply of how you should action the triggers from stress. And that's really, I suppose, so it's my story. But the golden hour, a lot of people, when I ask for testimonials, will often say that the golden hour was a really important element into the course, giving themselves time, being kind to themselves, and actually talk to yourself like you would do to a friend. You know, we so often criticize ourselves and go and say to ourselves, oh gosh, that's so stupid, I shouldn't have done that. Would you say that to a friend? You would come out with a much kinder remark than that. You'd say, well, the circumstances were that I was really pressurized on that day, but tomorrow will be a better day.
Yeah. So you do all this work. So why do you do this, Gill?
It sounds a bit twee to go and say that it's really rewarding. But I think that if you have an impact, a very slight impact on somebody, one person's life, I think that's really, really great. And people will come back and say, honestly, if you hadn't done that, I wouldn't be in this situation. And any self-investment into your own life is the best investment you'll ever make, because it's with you for the rest of your life. You will always know those tips. If you are being very stressed, you'll always know the triggers to avoid so that you don't become stressed. And so I suppose it's having a very small impact on somebody's life, which I feel very privileged to be able to help people with.
Yeah. So when you see these improvements, how does that make you feel?
Well, I suppose that's a really good question to ask, Howard, because probably before I did all this, I didn't have this knowledge with my children, although they've all ended up by being pretty balanced individuals. But it really, really has had an impact on my grandchildren. The sad thing about the moment is I can't see them all at the moment. But I know that some of the things I've said, because I've been able to have time with them and being able to give them time to think. And the one quote that I think is such an important one, almost to anybody, or talking to a grandchild or talking to your own children, is the one where Christopher Robin said to Pooh Bear, it's promise me you'll always remember, you're braver than you believe, you're smarter than you think, and you're braver than you believe, you are stronger than you seem, and you are smarter than you think. And then actually it has the extra line at the bottom saying, and remember, I'll always love you. And I think those, bearing in mind those things, and I'll often give people quotes of things just to be able to remember, because they're really important. And each individual is going to go through great failures, but you can move forward.
Lovely. It's brilliant. So just going back to the company, when you work with members of staff, is it one-to-one counselling, or is it a course with people?
And that's a good question too. So what I normally do is I have groups of 4 or 6 that would attend the PowerPoint, because I want to make it very individualized. When they go into breakout rooms, they're probably divided just into couples. I join the breakout rooms and I always give them questions to answer. It might be, for example, I think the last one was talking about control, what you can control and what you can't control. You can control what you do with your children, but you can't control other things in your life. And then I will speak to each one of those individually for around an hour. Sometimes it's slightly longer, depending on the challenge. Sometimes it's slightly less. And then, if necessary, as is the case with something today, somebody had a challenge at work and I will be contacting her today, and that's the wraparound service. As far as the individuals are concerned, again, we'll have our chemistry call. We will absolutely go through what it is that we're going to cover Although what I find is as we go along, sometimes those challenges change. Because if you put one thing right, something else gets right. But it's really important that you chunk things down. You can't do everything at once. You chunk it down. What's the most important challenge? How shall we deal with that? And then go on to the next thing. But I have wonderful testimonials from people who have had experience of working with me. And I hope also that at the right time, it's good to be able to introduce some kind of sense of humor, because people can say things and I'll often say to them, well, is that really true? Is it really the case that if you lose your job at 46, you won't go and get another one? And we'll chunk it down. And because the person's got into such a state about it, they'll think, oh, I'm never going to get a job. But of course they will. But you have to work at it. And that's all about resilience. Resilience is bouncing back after difficult things have happened to you. And that's why I call myself the bounce forward coach, because I play tennis to a fairly serious standard. And a ball never bounces back on you, it always bounces forward. And that's what you do with the challenges of life.
I like that, Gill. That's brilliant. Gold. So you also work with individuals as well as companies.
I do.
Before we go into that, are they one-on-one counselling sessions, or is it in a group?
So the individual ones are for people who would like to find themselves. I think that some people, again, lose their self-worth, they lose their self-identity, they lose their self-confidence, they lose their self-esteem. And bearing in mind that confidence and self-esteem are two very different things. Confidence is very much, you can probably always do your job, but my self-esteem on technology, as we discovered before we came on today, is pretty non-existent. But I know perfectly well I've got the confidence to be able to go and do my job, which I love. And I feel really privileged to be able to have an impact on somebody's life.
Yeah.
For the future, possible.
Yeah. So I know obviously the subject matter is obviously confidential, but is there a process when people contact you? So that sorry, interrupt you. So what we like to show people is what it's going to be like to work with you.
Yeah. What's it like to go work with me? Gosh, I think that people would probably say I'm a great problem and solution person. And usually where there's a problem, there is a solution, but it has to come from that person. I think people would say that I'm kind, but I think they'd say that I'm very firm. So if for example, between sessions, and I would always give people a bit of homework to do, if it hasn't been done, I don't want them wasting their money, and I don't want myself wasting my time. So they do have worksheets or actions that need to be done between each sessions. And therefore, that's what a wraparound service is. Sometimes people might say, I've got this to go and do, but I'm not quite sure how I should go and attack it. No, I hope that people would go and say that I'm also a good active listener, and I'm a good communicator. And I hope they think that I was non-judgmental, because when you reach my ripe old age, you've been through a lot of experiences of life, some good, some really awful. But you move forward.
Yes, as you say, the ball always bounces forward, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. It does. Yeah. And that's the bounce forward coach.
I think that's excellent. So how can people connect with you, Gill?
Right. Okay. Well, as I say, on my website, which is www.gillmathias.com, they will see that they can go and book a free appointment with me. There's a planner, and it will come through to my email, and I would then give them a ring back at that stage, non-committal, and people come through that. Businesses, I think, again, have really come through recommendation and referrals. And that, of course, is the very best way of gaining clients. And I'm really busy, which I love and I enjoy.
So the best way is to go to your website.
Go to the website, or they can ring me. I won't always be available, but they can leave a message. And I think that you've got that on the screen. It's 01530 589216. I'm on LinkedIn. Don't ask me to go and give the link. It's just Gill Mathias, and I'm on Twitter. But my social media, lovely lady, goes and deals with those kind of things.
Brilliant.
But I'm available to go and chat to, and would love to go and do so with any of your audience that are interested.
Fantastic. Brilliant. I'll leave the details on there. Gill's been fascinating. I hope people get value out of this if they're watching live or probably on the replay. Hang on. Just trying to do things here. Right, here we go. All right, so we'll say goodbye. I'm gonna play your introduction again so people recognize you, and also your contact details, which are called whirligigs. Just give myself a self plug. And if I want to come back, Jill, you're always invited. So everybody,
thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much. Speak to you soon.
Oh, Cara, thank you very much for your time. Bye-bye.
There you go. That was a lovely Gill Mathias. I'm going to play that again because I think you should contact her. There we go. Yeah, brilliant. So if you're just watching the replay, some good stuff there. And I like the finger breathing exercise as well. That was really good. That was really good. So that's it. So that was episode 55 of Couch Interviews Live. And as I said at the top of the show, you know, if you want to come on my virtual couch as my guest, please hit me up on social media, and then you can do what Gill did and talk about yourself, you know, your why, and connect with people. And if you want to try, because I'm using StreamYard to broadcast on LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube, just go to howardvale.com/StreamYard, and then you can try it for free. So that is definitely it for today. Thank you so much for your company, and I will see you on the next video. So until then, have a brilliant day and speak soon.